know where you're from. We're excited to see you guys here in the chat. And also keep an eye out for your Q&A area where you can make sure that you ask questions, and we'll be answering throughout the session. Little sideburn love there. All right, some more Texas, Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, and Ohio. San Antonio, beautiful city. So let's see, we've got numbers are holding pretty steady here. We're a couple minutes in, so
right on.
Make sure we could. Oh, there we go. We've just gone multi-country. We've got Canada in the house.
Yes, welcome Canada. Is it Olivia?
No, we've got Paula from Muskoka, Ontario, Canada.
Welcome, Paul. That's cool. I'm super excited to cut some hair today. I was stretching all morning. I didn't want to pull any muscles that I haven't used for a minute. Had to get my stretches on.
Yeah, right. I know you gotta. It's there's lots of the hip bend right now, but that's just from sitting up and down in the chair, right? So
right, yes.
Awesome. Yes. So again, I'll just go ahead and kind of get things started. Looks like our numbers are holding pretty steady here at just shy of we're about 170. So
nice.
Some pretty nice numbers here.
Wow.
And again, we'll just make sure that you guys go ahead and put your any comments you have in the chat. You can also use the Q&A for your different questions you may have for Willy throughout this session. Again, we'll just do a nice little intro here, let you guys know kind of what's expected. You'll hear my voice throughout. My name is Daniel Dunworth. I work with Pivot Point International, and I'm here helping Willy out, just making sure that he can field all of your questions throughout the session. So as you got them, I'll make sure that I bring them to life, so that way as Willy's cutting hair, he can also hear the questions and share those answers with you. So again, feel free to have those flood in, and I'll be helping out. But just to kind of get a few things going, of course, we've got to give this man some praise. He won't want it right now, but if you're not familiar, Willy, who's the National Education Director for Shark Fin Shears, has been instrumental in organizing all of the amazing artists that you've had over the past couple of days. So big kudos and round of applause to him. And he, of course, gets to even bring this evening home tonight with some amazing demonstration techniques for you guys. So shout out to him. There was already a question on the mannequins, so we'll also let you guys know he's going to be working on the Pivot Point mannequins, as Pivot Point, who I also work for, have been providing these mannequins to many of the artists. This evening, it looks like you're working on Cole.
Yes.
So these mannequins are, again, a phenomenal way to continue practicing your technique, not only just for their amazing quality as far as production goes, but also the ethical manufacturing, which is really important to us here at Pivot Point. And I'm going to say this last thing and turn it over to you, Willy, but guys, make sure that you stick around all the way to the end of this session for an opportunity to enter into a giveaway. And that information will be shared at the end. Plus, there's a little bit of some bonus information for all of you that attend. So again, keep the questions, comments coming. I'll be monitoring them and sharing those with Willy. But Willy, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Thanks, Daniel. I appreciate you stepping in here. Welcome, everybody. How cool is this? So I'll just be honest right up front and tell you that I figured if I found a bunch of amazing educators that would do education over a couple of days, that would be the easiest way for me to just put myself in and do education. So I was like, yeah, let's do an event. And then I was like, oh yeah, I'm going to cut hair too with all these amazing artists. So welcome everybody from all around the United States, Canada, maybe some other countries as well, who knows. My name is Willy. I am the Director of Education for Shark Fin Shears, and I'm proud of that. I love the company that I work for. I love our products. With all that said, let's cut some hair though, right? Because that's why we're here. So this is Oscar. This is a haircut we call Oscar, French crop, okay? A lot of texture, a lot of movement. This can be detailed multiple different ways. This is a technique you could use on any client who does shorter hair, male, female, or just anybody, honestly. So we made this haircut up for a training that we did last year in Texas with an amazing company we have a great relationship with, and we did a hands-on training for, I don't know, it was like 50 or 60 of their educators, and it came out really well. So everything we do today is going to be shear over comb, shear and finger work, or texture work. That's it. I am going to use a clipper just for the first minute or so to show you guys how to knock some density off with the Andis ZR clipper. But after that, we're going to work through the haircut pretty quickly. So if you're not familiar with this haircut, you know, it's all about movement and texture, having some length through the sides. It's all about, you know, how much of a statement you may make, or how much you want to detail or highlight shapes or texture throughout what I'm going to call the bang of this haircut, right? And then all about texture and volume and movement throughout that we're going to create with a texture shear today. Okay, so for those of you who watched yesterday, Anthony Edge did an amazing technique called alternating layers. I'm actually going to do that technique today on Cole here, on short hair. So hopefully, if you were in that class yesterday, multiple people asked, "Hey, can you use this technique on shorter hair?" And Anthony was like, "Yes, of course." So we're going to do that today, and it's going to be pretty fun. So first and foremost, right? Cole doesn't come looking like this, right? Cole actually comes out of the box amazing, looking like, you know, some sort of Greek god that belongs in like a villain against Aquaman, right? So it has all that length. You see that I went ahead before this and finished one half of this haircut because it's the same technique over and over. So what I didn't want to do is put you guys to sleep, right? So I'm going to show you how we achieve that. But I also, in case anybody has a guest come in that wants to go from long to short, you know, how do we knock that? How do I knock the length off to get it all down? Let's just get down to business as quick as possible. So I take the wide teeth of my comb and I just go in here, and I go in kind of at an angle, diagonal forward, if you will, right? And remove all that length out of there, making sure that my comb stays diagonal forward, if you will, and pulling away from the head. I just want to knock the majority of this bulk off real quick. And you see, hopefully you can see how easy that all comes off of there. So I just want to get this out of the way and show you how quick you can move through this. If someone comes in with longer hair and wants to move into shorter hair, we can start putting that shape in immediately. Can you see that, Daniel?
Yep, coming out pretty good.
Cool. All right, so I'm just gonna carry on here, right? Just gonna knock all this length down. Make sure my comb is angled away from the round of the head, so I'm building weight there. I want all that weight to be left because I'm gonna go back in with my technique and do this. You could take this long hair and section it out and do this a different way, but for me, honestly, when I'm working behind the chair, I want to work smarter, not harder. So just go in and get all that out of the way right away. And after that, I'm going to go in here and use diagonal back sections. See, I even missed a piece, right? I'm going to use diagonal backward sections. It's important that you keep the hair saturated throughout because it's going to help lay the hair down and help you control the haircut as you're moving throughout, all right? So water is your friend. In this, I only have two sections, which I forgot to go over, so forgive me, right? You probably saw it, but all I have is a horseshoe section all the way around. For me, my horseshoe is a little messy and textured too, because the finish on this is going to be messy and textured. All right, so horseshoe all the way around. Forgive me on that for if that question was rolling in. I apologize. So
I do have one question for you, though, Willie,
yes.
Before you jump right into that technique.
Yes.
Someone did ask, when working with your clippers and removing bulk, specific guard or clipper, the length that you're using for that?
So, I'll be honest. I love Andis clippers, but if you ask a lot of questions about it, I only know to a certain point. but I use the 000 on the Andis, which is like maybe a half of it's really short. It's really, really short. I'm sorry, I'm not a barber. I don't mean Andis any disservice. It just brings it off. Really what's important is you could use a 000, a 00, a 0, a 1, because your comb is really your guide there, guys, not the guard, okay? So the shorter the blade, the cleaner it's going to work through it. But you could achieve that same look with an adjustable blade clipper as well, okay? So just keep that in mind. So we're going to go in here now and we're going to work in diagonal sections. I like to work in diagonal sections because it puts my body in a more comfortable cutting position. So I would be standing here, right? Working in parallel to my section, and I'm going to point cut today. The thing with point cutting is you have to stay far enough away that you can actually get in there and point cut to create texture without cutting yourself. So if you're not real proficient at point cutting, practice by stopping about a ½ inch short of your guide, and then point cutting so you can actually get in there and point cut, okay, without cutting your finger. So my next section, I'm going to pull to my previous, okay? So I'm going to maintain a little bit of length throughout this haircut by pulling it forward. So I'm going to be a little longer towards the back than I am towards the front, right? So another diagonal back section. Another thing to be mindful of here too, which you'll learn in your consultation, which is probably the most important thing about this, about a haircut, is what kind of finish do they want through the parietal area? Do they want that connected, nice and clean with very little weight? Do they actually like weight to it because they like it heavier and they're going to texture it out and wear it piecey? So make sure you ask that question in the consultation, especially if it's a guest who comes in and has longer hair, right? Because there's multiple things you can do with this. Like I like to leave weight through here in the parietal so I can pull all that forward and make it messy and textured. Daniel and I were joking around before this. My hair is insane. It's super long. It's out of control, but I like it that way, to be honest with you. I just generally don't wear it that way because it's just craziness, right? So first important thing to remember, now we're getting to the round of the head, right? What can tend to happen here is we tend to stand in one spot instead of moving with the hair. The head is round. You want to move with it. You want to make sure that as you come up the head, your fingers start to angle away to build weight if that's the look you want to achieve. It's completely up to you. I'm just showing you things to be mindful of. Body position, finger angle, right? So my ergonomics, but also so I'm building weight or removing weight, especially at the top towards the parietal. So I'm just going to continue to take those diagonal sections and I'm going through here and I'm just point cutting.
So Willie, would you say that there's a specific angle that you're using with your shears in comparison to your fingers when you're cutting?
Oh man, you know what's crazy? Please don't make fun of me. I'm not real good at math, guys. I'm not real good at angles. I just understand by looking at the hair. So my fingers are parallel to my parting and my scissors going in at an angle that is about like that. I'm sorry.
Perfect. I think that demonstrates perfectly what the question was asking for, so that's ideal. Who's got a protractor to measure that anyways? So
I should have listened in math class in high school, but I didn't. So another thing you want to pay attention to as we're working through this is as you start to work below the crown and get into the nape, something that happens quite often is, again, our body position, we don't move with the round of the head. And we end up creating length out here because we're cutting it here, right? Which is creating this length when we should be cutting it in here. So tuck that elbow in, get in there in the nape, get up underneath that occipital, right? Or don't, based on what the consultation is. Here, that's what I'm choosing to do. So guys, we finished that side of the haircut that quick. If you're seeing all these little bits in here, don't worry about it. We'll go in at the end and detail that out as the guest wants. We can customize it so every haircut's different, right? Maybe they want it softer or a little more textured. That's up to them. So I save that for the very end. So hopefully you can see in just a couple of minutes how much we were able to achieve in here. I like on this style of crop, I like to leave this a bit weightier. Then I go in with a 15-tooth texturizer and I texturize it out at the end. I'll show you that. So now we're going to move to the top if there's no questions.
Nope, we've covered those so far. I'll keep you posted.
Cool. Let me know if I get going too fast. I'm a little excited. It's been a great 2 days, so feel free to slow me down. So what we're going to do on top here, I'm going to lower the mannequin so I'm working comfortably. Remember, working behind the chair is about my comfort as well, okay? Not just the guest. So we've done alternating layers inside of this horseshoe. Hopefully you can see this, all right? I left Cole's hair a little longer. I have 1, 2, 3, 4 sections, and then there's a piece of section in here that I'm going to call the bang, even though this is a male mannequin, right? I'm going to call that a bang. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, and a bang in this, right? And I've twisted them. I've twisted each section, okay? I've taken the sections standing to the side, so a vertical section to me. I take section 1, I twist it and leave it to my left. I take section 2, which is about the length of a finger or a finger and a half wide or a comb. Take section 2, twist it, put it this way. Section 3, twist it, put it this way. Section 4, twist it, put it this way. And then for me, honestly, I don't have very many people who come in with a bang that's that long. I would leave that, right? It wouldn't be hanging in their face like it is for demonstration purposes. So one last time when I take that out, that's what we're looking like, okay? So 4 sections and a bang. Booyah, let's do some cutting. We're calling this alternating layers, and we're gonna do layers inside of layers. So stick with me here, okay? The first thing I'm gonna work with is in the crown. This is an important section because it's gonna connect or disconnect from the back. But it's also going to, remember, the desired cut in this really is long through the parietal, nice and clean and textured on the sides and in the back. And then on the inside, we're short. We're shorter than everything else to create that movement and texture. So if you're not familiar with this haircut, I would urge you to go and check it out. So this is just a pretty straightforward layer through here for me, right? I'm going to bring everything out. I'll connect it to the back, split that in 2. Then we're just going to work round with a traveling guide, okay? Because I want to preserve length through here. Because remember, the end result for this is texture and movement. So I want it to be a little inconsistent and piecey and textured. As a matter of fact, because I'm talking too much, I stopped point cutting and I should be point cutting. Which reminds me, how are we doing out there, Daniel?
Doing good. A couple people had a few questions regarding, since only one side was demonstrated, is the other side just cut in pretty much a mirror of the side that you demonstrated?
Great question, 100% yes. Yes. Both sides were cut the exact same way, but because they were cut the same way and it's pretty similar throughout, I thought, why waste your guys' time? You're nice enough to join me here today of your own free will. If I have 5 or 7 minutes, I don't need to show you that I can do on the other side, and you get it and understand it. That's what I did. So hopefully that's okay. Hopefully it made sense for everybody.
Willie, we've got another question for you.
Sure.
Throughout the haircut, what points do you make a change from a stationary guide or design area into a traveling or mobile? Are there any points of reference that you use for those?
The sides are more of a stationary guide because we go so short. So you know your finger only allows you to do so much when you're cutting hair that short. All of this is going to be a traveling guide through the crown. The top's all going to be stationary, but it's going to be really funky. So stick with me. And a lot of this too is going to get textured out and textured around as we're going. So see all that? That looks a little bit heavy, or maybe it doesn't to you guys. To me through here, this looks a bit heavy, but that's okay with me because I'm going to go through afterwards and detail all that weight out. I'm going to create more texture with that weight with a 15-tooth texturizing shear. Any questions there?
Nothing extra at this time.
Awesome. So now I'm just dropping that next section. Here's where it gets a bit tricky with alternating layers, okay? So section 1 technically was the crown, so don't count that. So we'll call section 1 the short. Section 2 is long, section 3 is short. So we're going to go disconnected on top, short, long, and inside of that, of each layer, we're going to use a texturizing shear. So we create a 15-tooth, we create short bits inside of the short layer. Does that make sense for everybody? Hopefully it does.
Looks like it is. A couple of people look like they're very glad and excited that you're using the 15-tooth texturizing shear. So they're looking forward to seeing that.
Yeah. So if anybody was on my class last night, we had an amazing class, and there was a lot. It was a shear education class. How's this angle, guys? Can you see there? I bet it's rough with that black.
There you go. Yep. That, I think either when you're standing in front of it or right by the door, you get a nice bright background there. So that'll be good.
Is that better?
Everyone says better and perfect in the chat.
Okay. So my first section is going to be short. Okay. I'm determining what that length is based on what my desire is and the outcome of the look, right? Or what my desired look is a better way to say that if I could speak English. So keep in mind, short, long, short, long. If your short piece is 2 inches long, then what we recommend for this haircut is your long piece is about 50% longer. So if this is 2, this would be 3 inches, right? So just keep in mind for that leg. And for this, I'm going to go square, meaning I'm going to pull all that hair. Go away. I'm going to pull all that hair straight up. Okay, and I'm going to cut it square. Sorry, guys. And I'm going to cut it square, meaning not 90 degrees from the head shape or whatever. Here, how about this? I think this will be a better way of saying it. I'm going to over direct everything straight above the head. And just for demonstration purposes, I'm going to get rid of all that length. Okay. Then watch, guys, this is what I love about a swivel shear. Instead of coming in here and point cutting like this, okay, watch the difference in my elbow. I just swivel my shear and I point cut. Okay, drop that. Pick it back up. All you need is a tiny piece from the previous cut. Over direct everything straight up. Just going to get rid of that. Point cut to my guide. Everybody following me so far?
Looks like it. Everybody's got a couple of people that say they absolutely love their swivels. So they're enjoying seeing what you're doing.
Cool. So here's what's important. When I get to this side, kind of bring that elbow up purposely. You're not going to leave it there because that'll hurt. But make sure you bring that comb up and square it off like this. You can tend to start to round over here. So that final movement over here is kind of up, square it off, right? Measure, cut once, move on. Hopefully that makes sense for everybody. Just want to go through here. I want a little more texture. So now get that out of the way.
And Willie, which swivel shear are you using? The question came up.
I'm using the Monarch 5.5-inch swivel. Okay, so we're done there now. Comb it out of the way. Now we're going to drop the next section. I'm going to wet this down. Remember, saturation is key. In this haircut, I'll be honest, because it's textured and messy, it's not as important. But in order to get clean sections, use proper saturation. I'm going to go away for a minute, guys. I just realized something. Hopefully I'll come back. Yay. My phone was not on Do Not Disturb. Sorry. Okay. So get that out of the way. Have proper saturation. For haircuts like these, for these haircuts that like DJ and Anthony and Ira have been doing, very precise haircutting, wet, keep the hair saturated, make sure you part and comb with a purpose. Everything's clean and precise. I took the lazy way out today, and I went with a messy textured haircut. So now, that section we dropped, if we look here, we want to over direct our previous section that we cut on the top. We're going to over direct it back to the new section. And this is going to be a visual haircut right here, okay? So right there where my fingers are is my first section that I cut. I want to go a little bit longer. I'm not going to go much longer. I'm going to get rid of all this hair just for demonstration purposes. Just get it out of the way. And I'm going to go back in here and texturize. Okay? Making sure you pull all that square, right?
And Willie, when you're working with those partings, the question came up, are you either shifting that forward or towards the back of that, or is everything completely square up out of the parting?
Square up out of the parting. That guide, the first section that I cut that wasn't the crown, the short first section, doesn't matter anymore. Do not cut to that guide. If you travel it back with you, do not cut the hair in section 2 that we just dropped to that guide if it travels with you. This is a visual. You're choosing the length that you want it to be on top. Hopefully that makes sense, right? You would tend
and that
to
also
take a
comes to
guide
the
with
question.
you, but because we're going short, long drastically, don't look at that guide. It's all visual.
And to reinforce, so that being visual without actually having a length guide from a previous parting, there will be some subtle connecting of those in the choice of the 15-tooth texturizer that you mentioned before, correct?
Yes, sir.
Great.
Yes, sir. So you'll see I'm just going through here, pulling all this up and just texturizing. Everything's pulled directly up, right? All that previous section's falling out, and we're good to go. That section is done, okay?
Willie, the question came up, where can they pick up swivel shears of their own if they were interested?
Oh, so you can visit, I mean, there's lots of places you can get them, but if you want to buy a shark fin shear, you can visit our website at sharkfinshears.com.
And no, that's not a shameless plug. That was the question that was asked, to go ahead and pick up your shark fin shears.
Fair enough. I just wanted to create a little more length and reduce length in here so we could create a little more texture. I left that a little too long. We may find here in a moment that it's a little too long, and that's fine. So here's what I'm going to do for this last section. I'm going to show you guys. See how I have some bits that are long? That's fine. We're going to customize this haircut at the end. We're going to slide cut that with shears. We're going to slide cut that with a 15-tooth texturizer. So don't worry about that. Okay? In other haircuts, you should 100% worry about that. We can clean all that up at the end. So my last section here, before I get to my fringe on the front, okay? So now here's the tricky part. This section is the same length as my first short section back here. See how short that is? So that's a ton coming off. How do I do that, right? Easy, measure it. come back. That's why there's lengths on your comb. Come back, bring it over. I can look at it, cool. I can come in. Be sure to section what we're going to call his bang or his fringe, okay, out of the way. So come in here. All right, I'm going to go in and I'm going to cut, if that makes sense. Don't cut to your previous section. This is another short section. I'm just going to get rid of all this. Go back in just for demonstration purposes. I just want to get rid of all that hair, because if I try to point cut with all that hair on there, what's going to happen is I'm going to end up cutting myself, which I'm surprised I haven't done yet anyway.
Willie, can you reinforce your recommendation for how you determine your length difference between your shortest and longest one?
Sure. So honestly, this is the easiest way for me to put it. The more salon friendly, or the more business version of this, where you could work a regular job, and it's weird. You can work a regular job and be tattooed from head to toe now. So a cleaner version of this, those lengths are going to be shorter. All right. So I determine that in the consultation, which is the most important part of the haircut. So determine all that in the consultation, and then you go in and create that. The shorter this is, the more creative and textured you could get inside and out. The longer this is, the more creative and textured you could get, because you have all that length. So the fun thing with this is you can really play around with it and find out what's best for you. Something I see happening right now in the barber industry, man, if you see some of the stuff that's going on over at Andis, right, is that crop is really coming back. And I follow a few barbers that do these really creative versions where it might have like a teardrop shape. Anybody seen this? It's really faded out and nice over the top. Don't look at my hair. There's all this internal texture and it's messy, right? And some weight and length here. And then there's like a little teardrop shape in the bang, right? Or some sort of asymmetrical. Has anybody seen that? And it's going on everywhere, but I follow a couple barbers, or maybe I'm crazy. Maybe I'm the only one seeing that. Hopefully I'm not crazy.
Definitely not. Definitely seen it myself, where they leave out those intentional kind of
Yes.
addition pieces. And it's certainly, to your point, it's definitely growing in popularity with having those come around.
Definitely. So all these short bits, I'll just give you a preview, or all these long ones of how I get rid of that, right? Hopefully this angle's good. I just pivot my shear, go in there and slide cut, and remove all that. A little bit left over here. That length right there, that's all length, but on the other side. All right, I kind of jumped ahead, but that's fine. I want to remove all this length and texture. I can just go in there and remove it. Pick it up, see all those long bits. For me, again, personally, I like that length and weight, because when I style this, can you see that okay? When I style this, I'm going to bring all this through here forward and textured. So hopefully you can see that. Already here, look at all this texture and movement we have internally. Can you see that? Is it better seen behind my?
Yep, your bright pink shirt gives us some great contrast, which, by the way, a lot of people are interested to know where you got your shirt from.
Yeah, so a really good friend of mine in South Florida named Scott Jeffries. He's an amazing guy. I met him when I moved to Florida from Indiana. He was a huge impact and part of my life turning around as it has. And he's an artist. So he's an amazing artist. Feel free to check out his stuff. He does all kinds of things. These are one-off. I asked him to make some shirts and sweatshirts for DJ and Ira as gifts when they did some stage work with us last year at IBS Las Vegas. So Scott Jeffries, he's on Instagram It might be like Scotty J Arts or something like that. So here we are, last section, and we're almost done with this haircut. How are we doing on time?
We've got about 5:22, so I think you're still doing good. And a quick question as you go through that. Someone asked that working with your titanium shears, would that work for your slide cutting that you're doing, and would it work for either wet or dry hair?
That's a great question, right? So part of that shear education class I did last night, if you want to go back and watch it, it'll be up on YouTube, which, by the way, plug, there 5 of the 7 videos from yesterday are already up on our YouTube page and our website, so you can rewatch that stuff from yesterday. What were we talking about? I'm sorry.
Working with the titanium shears, cutting wet dry.
Yeah. So in that class, we talk about the difference between full convex and semi-convex edges. Our stainless shears or silver all have a full convex, so it comes all the way down to the sharpest, finest point. The titaniums have what's called a semi-convex, so it comes down and then it blunts out. So will it slide cut? Yes, it will. It'll dry cut, slide cut, point cut. But if you're hand sensitive, people may say that are hand sensitive that feels more crunchy or it feels dull. So just keep that in mind. I would urge you, if you're looking to purchase shears, even if you don't buy from Shark Fin, and I know that everybody's not going to, and that's fine, we just want to educate you so the money you spend, the tool that you bought is worth what you spent for it, right? There's a lot of fabulous companies out there. So we're on to the last section. I mean, I almost don't want to cut this at all and just enter it into some like avant-garde, or maybe it'll be in a punk band. We could just leave it, but that's not the choice. So here's how I'm going to cut this. I'm going to comb everything forward. I'm going to look at the length I want, and I'm going to point cut it because I want it textured and messy. If you wanted it real clean and heavy, right, you almost wanted it kind of like a Betty Page, which you could do, right, because we're talking being creative here. Just go in with the fine teeth here, or I'm sorry, go in with a little bit of tension, right? Stand in front of the section you're cutting so it's round. Right? Move with it so it's round. You can't stand here and cut it round, okay? So it's totally up to you. So for me, I'm just going to dive down here. We point cut the rest, so I'm going to come in here at natural fall. Come in here at natural fall. And I'm going to move with this so it starts to round off. How's that looking, guys?
Yep, we got a clean angle at it.
So I'm just working now, getting it close. It doesn't have to be perfect, okay? I want texture and movement. I want that line to be broken up. I want it to be straight and look good, right? But I want it to be textured and broken up too.
So Willie, question from a student that unfortunately had their shears stolen, but they're looking to get a replacement set of Shark Fin shears. Is there a specific set that you would recommend for a student that would be a great universal tool?
Sure. I mean, all of our shears are hand forged, hand welded, even our student line. So even our student shear is an amazing, amazing shear. But you could give the office a call or visit the website and speak to them specifically about details for what we call our student kit. So now I'm just going in here and I'm just detailing some of this out. Freehand, just detailing some of it out. How's that look, guys? Be honest. If it's bad, don't tell me. So
you got some looks. You got looks texture. Great in the chat. So multiple thumbs up.
All this texture and movement through here, right? But we keep the integrity of the hair through here, if that makes any sense. So shorter all in through the top of this. So now we're going to do something really fun. We'll bring it home. We'll bring it home with a 15-tooth texturizing shear. Just so you understand, you could use a 7-tooth in here as well. So this is a 7-tooth chunking shear. This is a 15-tooth what I call a debulking shear. Okay, so we'll see where we go at with the two of them. Another thing I want to do is kind of comb everything forward and see how the weight lies, I believe is the correct word, through here. Again, I like texture and movement through there, so I'm going to leave it. You'll see over here on this side, though, I got lazy and it's heavier. So that's where I'll use the 15 tooth to clear all that out. And then we'll go back into the alternating sections, because what you'll see up here is you'll see if we cross-check this, you're going to see short, long, short. So short, long, short. We only did 3 that way, right? So awesome.
Willie, as you come through and do your detailing, question comes in, is there anything in specific that you are looking for? What is your eye trying to spot?
My eye is trying to spot sections. That's a great question, by the way, because this is a very visual thing. So my eye is trying to catch, see right here, I don't know the best angle. See right there, guys, how there's weight there, but I can pull that forward and it turns into texture. It looks like a nice piece of the haircut. If this was all combed down and this was worn a different way, this haircut, it'd look really heavy and boldy right there. But it's important that this hair is coming forward. That's how I plan on styling it. If my guest wasn't going to style it that way, I would take that down so it's not there. Does that make sense? So if we now change to this side, see how it's heavier over here, guys? It's rounder. I want to transition all that out. So that's what my eye is looking for, if that makes sense. So I'm going to go in there with a 15 tooth texturizer. I'm just going to slide cut through here. And guys, if you were here with me, what you're going to start saying, hopefully you can, is this is going to start collapsing. Okay? So we want to see that all start collapsing.
And I think right at that angle, we can really see right against your shirt how one side is a bit more kind of square.
Right.
The other side is a little bit more rounded. And that's what you're trying to accomplish, is that more narrowness of that kind of square look, right?
Correct. But here's the thing. I don't want to accomplish it by cutting all that length off, because I want that length. You with me?
Absolutely. That's that texture that you're looking for, right?
Yeah, because I want that texture throughout the haircut. So right now, if I got upset, I could go in here and be like, this is embarrassing. This side of the haircut's different than that one. I'm okay with that. But if I wasn't, I could just go in and do the exact same technique, right? Diagonal back sectioning, right? And I could go in, I can even do it with a texturizer, and I can remove all that weight the same way. You guys see the difference there? No, you don't. See the difference? I'm going to go in right there now with a 15 tooth and just do scissor over comb. Watch that go away. As soon as that comment goes away. See that go away, right? So now we can start pulling all this out.
Would you consider this crop haircut a bit more of like a modernized Caesar?
Yes, 100% yes. Does that make sense? So see the difference we're coming down through here with a 15 tooth, right? So we're getting rid of that roundness, but want to keep all that creativity in there too. Because keep in mind, this is all going to come forward. It's not going to sit down in here. It's all going to come forward. This is all going to come forward, right?
So would you say that understanding the styling, how they plan on styling and finishing it, is really important to know before you go in and start making those length choices?
100%. Also, you're going to find this side's a bit cleaner and shorter. I meant to do that. So we have two different looks here. So I'm going to clean this sideburn up nice and clean, like on the other Oscar, but I'm going to leave this one a little longer and textured, just like on the other Oscar, so you can see it both ways. Does that make sense, guys? Hopefully it does. Hopefully it's coming across in video.
You're getting some thumbs up in the chat.
All right. So first section on top, right? Which is our, wow, that was our short section, okay? I'm going to take that same section, whoop, come inside. Now, I'm going to create short inside my long or short inside my short. I'm going to go in 15 tooth texturizer. I'm going to go down about a third of the way and texture all that out. Pull it up. Same technique, everything square or directly above the head shape. Pull it out. Now we're creating texture inside of texture, guys. Because remember, what's short hair do to long hair? Somebody has my back, hopefully. I know you do.
Yep, you've got the answer. They say that it pushes.
That's right. So now I'm working into that next section, guys, which was the long section. And all I'm doing is going in with my 15 tooth and texturing that out. See what we're getting in there already? See all that texture we're getting there additionally already? Okay, so if we want that crown to lay down, we can. If we want that crown to stick up, we can. All that length is still there. I didn't cut it all off. See that shape? So again, it's all up to the guest and the consultation, guys. So we're wrapping up here. All I'm doing now really is you don't even have to pull it into sections at this point because you'll see this, you'll see the short and long inside. I'm really now just going through and visually cutting. Here's the one thing. I want this to stay solid. I'm not cutting into that. I want it to be textured at the ends, but I want it to be solid through here. Does that make sense? So how are we feeling about this? How are we feeling about it? This is a little bit longer than the other guy, but I'm fine with that. I'm going to take some pictures of this. I'm going to stop. I'm going to wet while it's damp. I'm going to put some texture powder in it, right? While it's damp, I'm going to blow dry it in, and that texture powder gives it some grit, like some second day wear or third day wear, or like beachy texture feel to the hair. And then I'm going to blow dry it a little bit more until it's totally dry. Then I'm going to take, for me, I'm going to take a fiber base product, emulsify it on my hands, and then I'm going to work it through. And I'm going to start piecing this out.
We got a lot of people that are enjoying this cut, enjoying the technique in the chat. And we've got just a couple of questions regarding the cut itself. If you were to do this on a finer hair texture, what could you do to avoid it from looking like blocky or actually seeing like lines between different length changes?
Yeah, so that's a great question. I think fine textured hair, I tend to like to use a 28 tooth texturizer for the entire haircut because it removes length, but it softens so you don't see those lines. Remember, if I go in and my finger position either will soften or it'll make a really hard line, right? Vertical, pretty hard. Soft, 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 soft. Horizontal, back to leaving a pretty hard line, building graduation depending on where we are on the head. So keep all that in mind. Hopefully that answered the question.
I think so. And then one other question. Someone asked, is there a specific texture powder that you like to use for creating?
Oh, man, there's so many good ones out there. I worked with a couple of fabulous companies, and I currently love Alkali. And the companies I worked with in the past were Evo and Surface, and they have amazing push powders. So, and a lot of companies, at least 6 years ago, when I was doing a lot of education for products all up and down the East Coast, a lot of companies seem to not talk about using a texture powder in hair when it's damp. Not wet, guys, damp. There's a difference, because if it goes in wet hair, it's just going to get all gummy and tacky. And I don't use it in long hair. I'm sure you can. I use it in damp hair on short hair because it gives me it sets it up. It's really my prep to then go in with my texture paste or my texture cream afterwards. So hopefully that makes sense. We're about to wrap it up. So I'm just going to go in here and freehand this side around the ear. Another thing I love about a swivel, see how I can work around the ear without having to come around, right? This longer side, you could clean out around the ear. You could leave it piecey and textured, right? We kind of see where this is all sticking out. I'm going to point cut and just clean all that up. Can you guys see the difference as that's happening? So a quality mannequin when you're doing short haircuts is important too, right? So that's why I love these mannequins. Now I'm just visually cleaning that up. Is that a good angle or no, guys?
Yep, everyone's saying that they're. Some said they actually really like the longer sideburn,
Yep.
and absolutely can see that change. Another question came through regarding the style. So, although you've cut this to really kind of move towards the face, is
Yeah.
there versatility with that length to be able to style it back off the face if they
Oh,
didn't want to keep it there the entire time?
of course, of course. I mean, now though, what do you have to do? You're gonna have to create that length within your technique. So you have what? Shorter in the front, longer in the back. So in that case, your guides just, pull away from what you want to keep, guys. Even if it's short hair, pull away from what you want to keep. So if your shortest length is here and you want to start building length towards the back, and then, those nice, those amazing like gentleman pompadours where the hair's longer on the side and slicked back kind of nice, they're just, they're traveling further and further and creating that length towards the back. So technically this side's the shorter sideburn, okay? And on the other side it was longer, but on the other side, even though it was longer, I cleaned up around the ear clean. On this side, I'll just leave it that way so you guys can kind of see it. You could come in here with your swivel shear if you want to kind of remove some of that without cutting it all away, and just slide cut over the top of the ear. See how the position I'm in? Sorry for my armpit, but anything for the guests to look good. So that, everybody, is Oscar from our collection. I'll blow dry this, like I said, and show you some differences on each side. Hopefully you learned something today. From Cheshire, Connecticut, wherever you are, thanks for letting me hang out with you for an hour. I love the fact that I got to participate in this event. Thank you to every brand that participated in this, and that brand, whether it's clippers with Andis or scissors with us, or round brushes with Ergo, or mannequins and hair and stands with Pivot Point, or education with Ira and DJ and Anthony. Thank you for those brands for jumping in. And I look forward to seeing what we have for the rest of the day. We got some